Right? Is there a guitarist who feels like they have that song really under their fingers, that they know it really well, who could just come up and just play it through? Anybody? It would be the key of F. Usually it's capo 3 and D. It's the summons. You feel comfortable? Good. Be ready to bring your guitar up. Not right now. But just be ready. What I would like to do is I'd like to take that song and demonstrate a few things with it. To look at it from the standpoint of starting off as a solo guitarist. And what is it that I would do in leading that song if I were leading my assembly and play. And then start adding pieces to that solo guitar. Make it 2 guitars. What would that sound like? Take one guitar away and put a keyboard with it. How would the playing change? What would the playing look like? And just kind of ultimately build up to 3 guitars, a keyboard, flute, and percussion. And see what that would look like. Sound good? And then we'll take a couple of other pieces and we'll put some of you in place and challenge you to look at the piece, consider playing with other players and how that would unfold for you. So I'm going to start. First I need to find my strap, and I think it's the next one down. It is. So first I'm going to take the summons. And do we have, Tom, could you pull that? I don't need it right this second, but if we could have a couple copies of that ready, that would be great. Boy, I have not had this strap out with this instrument in a long time. So if I am going to lead you to the summons, and I'm a solo guitarist, this is what I would do. That's the way that I would play a verse of it. Thank you very much for the help in the lyrics, because I'm doing this from nothing. Let's analyze that a little bit. Basically, I'm using a very full strumming pattern, very busy, just keeping the motion going. Every 1 and 2 and 3 and, right? Using a combination of individual picking and strumming, not really trying to pull out a melody, as much as I'm trying to move the pace of the song, to keep the pace of the song going, okay? Not doing a lot of fancy things with chord work, using basic chords. There was one little bass fill that I used. I missed it. Just a little thing that I put in there. That was the only thing that I did where I kind of deviated from a full strum. So I was pretty mindful of just creating a real, creating that flow, that motion for the singer or for the community. And I would then sing along with that. Did you find that hard to sing with or easy to sing with? Easy. Was the pulse clear?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now, let's take a moment and let's grab our second guitar. And let's see what happens. So we will now, good. Perfect. Thank you, Todd. We will now see what happens, or what can happen. So, let's make sure I'm assuming you're in tune. Okay. So, let's demonstrate this as two guitars who aren't very mindful of what we're going to play ahead of time, and just both play it the way that we would normally play it, without giving much thought or mind to what the others play. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. What'd you think? Wasn't too bad.
No.
Let me ask you a couple questions. Was one guitar louder than the other? Who?
You.
I was. I was playing louder. Because of that, was I actually drowning Charlie out? Were you able to hear him, or was I kind of stomping all over him?
You were stomping.
I was
Oh,
stomping all over him. You're used.
Yeah.
I'm used to being stomped on.
He's from St. Matthews.
Stomping is in my history all the time. Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. All right, so there wasn't much mindfulness going on here. I was aware instantly that I'm crushing Charlie's sound, and just went ahead and just continued to crush it. Not that what I was playing was better than what Charlie was playing, because quite honestly, Charlie was playing something very, very appropriate. But there was no mindfulness. There was no awareness of what was going on. Intentionally set that way, right? All right, so now, let's be mindful. I want you to be the motor, okay? And I'm going to play in the same capo location. I'm going to play to offer a little bit less motor and create a little more color to what's going on. So I want you to be mindful of what I'm doing now versus what I did the first time. But second of all, what the net effect of that sound is. Keeping in mind, and I didn't have you sing, and I'm not going to have you sing any more in this because I want you really listening to what's going on in the instruments, but being mindful of, can you sing to this? Is this a good foundation for you to sing from? So here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 1. more balance. I was not playing as loud as I was the first time. I was not nearly as busy as I was the first time. And when I was loud, it was on those accented beats that were kind of counter, kind of helping the motion at times, but more, that was where I was using my, I'm going to take this moment and shine part of my playing. And I played probably half as many strums and probably 1/3 as many notes is what I played the first time with them. Now let's even push this envelope a little bit more. What happens if I were to change my capo location? So that now I'm not going to play capo 3 and create a different sound against what Charlie's playing. I'll try to do the same kind of thing where I'm more, we'll let you be the motor, and I'm going to do more of the kind of the color stuff. But let's see if there's an effect that happens with a different capo location, okay? So I'm going to go up capo 5, and I'm hoping this capo holds. It should. If it goes flying off, don't worry, nobody's going to get hurt. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 1. Sing to that? Would you be distracted and want to hear all of that different color if you were singing to that? No, I'm teasing. That is, now we're getting the beginning of differentiated sound, aren't we? With me being capo 5 and transposing these chords, I can now get into, even on that F chord. When da 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 da, so I didn't use a straight F chord. I used an F2. Do the sus. When you're that high, you can take some liberties with some of these chords and add some of those sixth sounds or ninth sounds or second sounds that add to the whole picture of sound that you're creating. Questions, reactions, other comments that you want to make to what you've heard?
Steve, do you have an easy way of transposing?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
It's called experience. Yeah.
Years of leadership.
What-
No, not that.
Yeah. So this is a good point for guitarists, those of you who are guitar players. Having the ability to transpose is huge because it frees you to being able to play in multiple keys on the same tune, to get instruments in different locations with different chord combinations. When you have different chords in different keys that are meshed by capo locations, you get some very interesting colors that happen. That's only possible if you can transpose. Transposing is, once you start doing it, you'd be shocked how easy it is. But you've got to jump to the deep end of the pool and just start doing it. And here's the math behind it. You go up 2 frets on your instrument, capoing 2 frets, you're creating a higher sound. What do you got to do to your chord?
2 up.
Got to go 2 the other way.
2 down.
2 down. Yep. So you just compensate. What's 2 down? Half steps, not whole steps. Half steps. What's a half step for us? Guitarists? What's a half step? 1 fret.
1 fret.
Right?
Yeah.
1 fret. So if we're thinking, if we're shown a D chord capo 3, and I'm capo 5, what chord am I going to play? C. A7 will be a G7. when you start doing this math work and start using it, it really happens pretty quickly. All right, now, here's the thing. There's another option here. And the other option is for me not to capo higher, but to either play without a capo and just play the open chords, because I have those written here. We have those written here. So one of us could do those. What I would like to try to do is I would like to let me capo lower now. I don't want to go to the open chords. I want to create, because there's another key that I can play in. If I play in the key of E, I have more options for color chords than if I play in the key of F. Key of F, I'm going to be doing a lot of bar chords. And I can do those, but I can offer a different sound if I go capo 1 and E. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play capo 1 and E, do the exact same thing, see what it is that you like better. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1. I'm sorry, let's try that again. 1, 2, I'm trying to figure out where's that melody line to give those 2 notes. 2, 3, 1. Which sound, now I didn't do a very good job of doing, I was working way too hard to do a real good job of the color work. I was mostly playing just along with what he was playing. But what did you like better? The sound of the lower guitar with capo 3 or the higher guitar with capo 3? How many liked the lower? A couple liked the lower. Most liked the higher. Most of the time, the going higher gives you more options. What I'm doing by going lower is I don't want to say I'm muddying the sound, but I'm adding some of that lower part of the sound. Okay? Yes? You do. That's exactly right. That's why there would be some wisdom to taking at least a listen to something lower to complement what's already up capo 3. That's a great point. There's also another point here, and that is, do you have a keyboard playing with you, or do you not? And that moves us into something else here. Tom, would you come on up and demonstrate for us what you would do with this piece as a solo player to accompany us as your assembly? Okay? Don't go away, Charlie. We're going to use you for more of it. Sure, sure.
When you arpeggiated through that F2 chord, were you in the same key signature, or did you just arpeggiate the single note values?
Okay. Now you're getting really deep on the question, and it's fantastic because it means you're thinking, what's really going on? So when I capo up 5, and I'm playing now in a different key, what I'm thinking fill-wise is in the new key. In fact, neither one of us are actually thinking the key of the song. The key of the song is F.
You're compensating.
What you're doing is you're moving around, you're operating within the key that you're playing in. So when I'm playing that F sus2 chord, I'm knowing that I have enough experience in playing in this arena that I know that F sus2 chord is going to offer a sound that I really like. I love the sound of that open F chord almost anywhere where I play it. It just sounds really sweet. So the fill that goes around that is a fill that's related to the new key that I'm playing in, and not the key of F nor the key of D, which is the capo 3 key that you're playing in. It's whatever that new key is. Everything then gets organized around that key. Great question. You're really thinking this through. And before we go to Tom, too, I told you I'd give you the 3-minute snapshot on technique, right? If you were to grab your instrument right now and form a C chord, see that thumb being elevated like that and raised, it's going to hamper you. It's going to hold you back. Take now that same hand of yours and form a G bar chord. And watch where your thumb goes. If you can now take that thumb and slide it back down and play your C chord with where that thumb was in the bar chord, now you're giving yourself, that's the technique that's going to propel you into really being able to move around freely on this instrument and to give the support to your hand that it needs. Okay? So those of us who are playing with our thumbs up high and kind of gripping of sorts the back of the neck, the instrument, that's going to hinder you. That's going to hurt you. So just try to work that in. And if you can think of it, next time you pick up your guitar and you start futzing with it, if you're a person who's not used to that thumb location, being behind the neck, it's going to hurt. I mean, it's going to be more emotionally painful than it is physically painful. Because you're going to be saying, why didn't I start like this? And there'll be some tears and all of that. But, so anyway, carry that with you as we move forward. Tom, would you come on up now and give that, and give us any background on it that you'd like to share with what your approach would be.
Usually, you're doing the whole ball of wax. So you're like, for me, I like to hear. If I was by myself, I would probably, if I was at a keyboard like this, I would probably set it up to do a left-hand bass so I could fill the low end up. I would add the melody, I make sure I'm adding the melody on the top, and then any inner movement I could do to sweeten the holes that you're talking about, I would, try to do that, because you're basically the whole orchestra. You're not, yeah.
Okay.
And of course, adding any little substitutions to make it a little more interesting. Sometimes you do that too.
All right, so give us an idea of what that would be, just the verse.
Okay, so I might go. Oops, hold on. Didn't do that. Let's see if this is different. What did you hear different in Tom playing that versus when I played as a solo guitarist? Far less, wasn't it?
Gentle.
There was no prompting of that pulse. He had that strongly under control with that one feel. Da dum bum, dum 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 ba dum, and carried it that way. Whole different feel to the song, wasn't it? I liked yours a lot better.
It's a little more marchito, and
It was.
a
That's
little
right.
easier to sing to. if you
Perhaps
don't
a
have any rhythm.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Meaning there was no percussion instrument added in the piano. So you needed the rhythm from the piano.
Right, but what he's done in his version of this is he has, instead of muddying up the melody in the right hand and doing an eighth note, like what guitarists are doing, or what we were doing, he is instead just providing that really solid downbeat. And because of that, and because it's really clear, he can then go off and keep you going and singing with that right hand in the melody. We lose that in the guitar. Could we do it? I don't know how effectively we can do it. Let's try. So yeah, it could be done. But I'm not sure for a guitar, that would be, I wouldn't go there instinctively with the guitar. I could, if need be, but I wouldn't instinctively. Where carrying the piano, the right hand, carrying the melody in the piano right hand is something that pianists, you're trained to do that. That's what you do with that right hand when you're leading some prayer. So it's very interesting, the two differences. I was not expecting that, and that's really cool that that happened.
So like if I was going to, when I used to do a lot of youth events, you know, you get the excitement of youthful exuberance jumping in there. You get a lot of keyboard players, and the young guys, of course, or girls, they just want to do they want to fill in all the 8-note activities. So they'll do and after a while, you know what, you're making me nervous.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, and there's what is it? So it's personal preference, and then it's like things like our space, like I say at St. Benedict's, it's so live that if you hear somebody at the piano playing 8-note action, it's way too much. It's crushing, and so those things are all things to take into consideration. Plus the fact that on the guitar, your notes are decaying a lot faster than mine are.
Right.
So I mean, so your regeneration or arpeggiation is continuing your sound, where I don't need to do it quite as much of that.
And we are left with needing to support the melody through our voices, through our leading with our voices, or the cantor. Which, remember, that's what this is all about. What's the sound like for the singers? So, all right. So let's try something here, Tom. You and I are the basis of our ensemble. Charlie, I'm going to ask you to lay out for this one. And let's see what we do playing together without even talking about it. Let's let our instincts, I know the way you play, you know the way I play. Let's let our instincts lead the way, and let's see what we come up with together. Okay?
You're the lead on this, I'm following you.
Okay, that sounds great. 1, 2, 3, 1. There was a lot going on in my head. I don't know how much was going on in yours. We were actually, in my estimation, very kind to each other, where we were leaving each other. You take it. No, you take it. And had we talked this through, and if I worked this a couple of times with Tom and Tom with me, we'd come up with, and a lot of that would end up being instinctual. I'm thinking of the accompanists who I played with for 15 years in our ensemble back in Sterling Heights. And I mean, it was instinct. It became instinct that I knew where she would go and she knew where I would go. That's what happens with players who are really open to it. So that was the first thing that I felt. Anything that you...
No, I mean, and part of it is like, and again, we've done the thing where we've sat in the studio and the pressure cooker of that, where someone is actually defining, like David would say, I want you to do this, and then so I know, okay, yeah, Steve's going to take the lead on this, and I'm doing backup. So then you would plow ahead, I would follow and fill in gaps. So we didn't, you were a little too kind.
But you know what, Steve? Sitting here listening and being a singer, first of all, I heard the space that the two of you created, where in my mind's ear I heard the vocal line, which would have tied it together.
And that's the other part of it too. It's like I was thinking to myself, being a singer, I'm always thinking to myself, where does the voice sit in this? So if you notice, I added fills where the vocal was not happening.
Right. Yeah. He did that little off rhythm thing at the end of the one phrase. That was really cool at the very end.
We're play little counter melodies to what the melody would be doing.
The piano sounded much more to me like just a supportive instrument.
Well, did
And-
you hear what he said at the very end?
Yes.
You take the lead.
Right.
Well,
And
okay,
you
at that
did
point
that.
then, if
Right.
I'm going to take
You
the
did
lead,
that.
if I'm the
Yeah.
leader, then I'm going to establish my tempo, carry that pulse thing more. But even where were you playing more? Did you change where you played more?
Once I tried to stay away from the upper range, I was playing more at the bottom because you were up in that next position.
So I'm up in that upper part, so he's leaving me this upper part. He's staying in the melody in his right hand, but he's letting that be mine. And the one fill that you did, that off rhythm thing that you did, that little walk down, it wasn't so much about what he was playing notation-wise, it was about when he was playing. So he was using the rhythm in finding a little kind of nice little movement, and it wasn't so range specific. Okay? Very nice. Great stuff, yes.
Something I like to do, and something that I think is interesting, since that's a long song with so many verses, and you really want to get to that last verse, what are your suggestions about, after like the third verse, when everybody is all into it and they've got that melody line going, about changing things up?
So that is some of the most fun work that goes into making music in ensembles is in the flexibility and the creativity.
Like he then
Because
takes the lead.
He takes the
and
lead on
does
verse 3.
maybe the
There
high
have been
note.
times in the studio where you take 3, I'll take 4, where you actually divvy those verses up, where your whole focus to the way that you play changes based on what's going on around you. What would happen on a song like that is that trading back and forth would happen, but there would be what I would do is I would look at the text. Is there a text that needs to be, a verse that needs to be more pulled back? Is there a more joyful verse? I would play out more on the more joyful, both of us playing more fully. We would also be looking at the whole shape of the whole tune. Where do we want to go with this whole song? Where is the momentum? Is the momentum building up to a verse 5? In this song, I would say yes. Will you come and follow me? Yes, or I will come and follow you. Verse 5 is our answer to, yes, I'm coming. Okay, so there's our crescendo is building up. Although I wouldn't necessarily go straight up a mountain with it. I may go up for 1 and 2, maybe come down on 3. I mean, it would depend. But yes, there'd be some great opportunity for creativity on this, where on a particular verse, the guitar would pull way back or the piano would pull way back. And we're only 2 instruments here yet. We're adding more to it. So let's do that now. So let's add, Charlie is our new guitarist in our ministry. He's going to actually take more of the lead on this one, where Tom and I are going to be your minions. We're going to be your followers. I'm going to capo up 5 to let you guys know. So I'm going to be playing even higher. And let's see what happens. Anything you want to instruct us? Let's try or just give it a roll, man. Let's see what we got. Sounds great. All right. Here we go. 1, 2. I'm sorry, that's not mine to count off. It's yours.
Well, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1.
So would you like Tom to play that da-da?
Yeah, Tom can lead us in, all right? 1, 2, 3, 1.
What'd you think? I kind of like that. There was
I like
one
the
measure
tone.
you played one note. There were 3 measures that I played one chord. 3 in a row. There was some real space, and I left you a space to fill it at the very end, and you didn't take it, so I jumped in at the very end and gave it a little ascending path.
Thank you for saying
Yeah.
I like the feel of the bass, like that really gives me those, the downbeats, so that I know when to come in and sing. So Tom gave us that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then you guys can do all your fun. Phil.
I'd like to hear more of a bass line on the left hand of the keyboard instead of the comp chords, and then more comp chords on the right hand. Drop the melody, and let the second guitar play the melody, and get off the 8 notes.
Can we give that a try?